The game theater is never truly finished. It isn't meant to be. It evolves slowly, steadily, just like the stories we tell inside it. Every new session, every twist of fate, every adventure adds a new facet to the players and their characters. Victories leave marks, losses leave echoes, choices shape the world in ways we can feel long after a session ends. And our space should reflect that. It should grow alongside the tale, collecting memories, layering meaning, allowing each new addition to quietly say, "This happened here." A room like this isn't a museum. It's a place that changes when we do. That's why each year, each session, each gathering leaves behind one more piece of the story made physical. The theater grows as the campaign grows. And that world becomes just a little more real. At the back of my studio, behind this door, is something special. A space where stories aren't just told, they're lived. Welcome to Pernicky Ricks, the ultimate guide to crafting spaces that don't just tell stories, they immerse you in them. Every year right around Thanksgiving, the room picks up another layer. A little more story, a little more soul. And this year, it's getting a flag. This one is for Sava Kenor's Grace, the player's ship, their crew, and their chaos. The design came straight from them, with a little bit of creative help from Alexa, our Hollywood seamstress, wizard with fabric and the one who's hand-stitched this canvas. I'm just here to paint it. And yes, before anyone says it, I know I'm using modern acrylic craft paint. Not exactly what they had in the 12th century, or on Hârn. But hand-painting a ship's banner, that part's historically accurate. And when it's done, you won't be able to tell the difference. So I won't tell if you don't. This is the kind of thing that makes the room feel alive. These little pieces, player-made, story-earned, they turn a backdrop into a setting. When we gather here in costume for a big Thanksgiving feast and game night, and that flag is hanging in the theater, it won't just be decoration. It'll mean something. And that's the whole point of a game theater. The room tells the story, right alongside us. You'll see I've rough stenciled in the image already. There's a lot left to do, so let's get started. All right. That's finished. It is 10 o'clock. I started about 3, so that's 7 hours. That's not too bad. I'll let this dry overnight now. And We'll start to weather it tomorrow. Okay, it's the next morning. This is good and dry. I'm first going to attack it with some sandpaper. I have some 220 grit and some 600 grit to take some of the paint off to make it look a little weathered, maybe fray some of the fabric a little bit. So let's get started and see what happens. Okay, so I went with the more aggressive 220 in the end. I think it looks pretty good and weathered. The fabric looks nice and beat up. I even frayed the edges a little bit and put a little hole in the middle of the flag with the coarser sandpaper. Now I'm going to wrap the rope ends and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, I think we are done. I may want to fade the paint a bit later with some chalk after it dries, but I'm thinking I won't have to. So next thing I have to do is let this sit and dry and we'll see what it looks like. So it's the next day and the flag's finished. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Exactly the look I was aiming for. Looks well used but not worn out. Just like it was taken down from the mast and carried straight here. These other pieces on the table are things I've wrapped up for our big celebration as well. This is a kite shield from a religious fighting order known as the Checkered Shield. It's built from plywood, covered in linen, and painted with acrylics just like the pennant. The metal boss was deliberately dented and beaten, and then treated with mustard to get that pitted gray aged steel look. Much more convincing than the shiny, polished finish you usually see on replicas. I've also finished up this axe. It's been sitting around for close to a year, and I finally got to it. After shaping the wooden handle, I notched the blade by striking it against an old chopping axe. Same process I used for the swords already in the room, and then gave it the same mustard aging treatment as the shield boss and the other weapons. Next is this marotte, the jester's scepter carried by Volc, a little person with a very big presence in our campaign. Our smallest, sharpest, and least predictable source of trouble. He's my in-world voice to the party, and this is the real-world version of the scepter Richard Luschek illustrated him holding. Finally, we have this statue of Thonahexus, guardian of the Gates of Inor Teth, Savikanor's version of Valhalla. I wanted him to look like one of those early medieval wood and plaster statues you find in old churches and monasteries, complete with a little age and wear. He sits atop this wooden box that will hold the miniatures for our upcoming encounters. So now let's find all this a home in the game theater. Thank you for joining me as we added yet another piece of the game theater. Small part of the story made real. A reminder of how this space grows with every session we play. If you want to follow along as more props and projects come to life, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. And if your own game space is evolving too, I'd love to hear what you're working on. Share it in the comments. So until next time, may your games always have the spaces they deserve.